Channel 5 gives you 105%.
The news of New England and the world, live from NewsCenter 5, tonight.
Now, what should happen when you make a mistake is this. You take your knocks, you learn your lessons, and then you move on. That's the healthiest way to deal with a problem.
Tonight, almost 4 months after he confirmed he sold arms to Iran, the president takes responsibility for the fiasco. Good evening. I'm Natalie Jacobson.
And I'm Chet Curtis. President Reagan responded tonight to the stinging Tower Commission report by admitting the Iran arms for hostages deal was a mistake.
Our coverage begins with our chief correspondent, Martha Bradley.
Share with you my thoughts on these.
President Reagan did not apologize in his speech tonight, but he did go further than ever before in acknowledging mistakes in the Iran-Contra affair.
I take full responsibility for my own actions and for those of my administration. As angry as I may be about activities undertaken without my knowledge, I am still accountable for those activities.
The president then went step by step through the major criticisms in the Tower report, beginning with their findings that the U.S. did trade arms for hostages, something the president has denied from the beginning.
It's clear from the board's report, however, that I let my personal concern for the hostages spill over into the geopolitical strategy of reaching out to Iran. There are reasons why it happened, but no excuses. It was a mistake.
As to the transfer of funds to the Contras, the president denied knowledge, but again did not shirk responsibility.
I didn't know about any diversion of funds to the Contras, but as president, I cannot escape responsibility.
And his management style, for which he was strongly criticized in the report, the president said he should have asked more questions.
When it came to managing the NSC staff, let's face it, my style didn't match its previous track record. You know, by the time you reach my age, you've made plenty of mistakes. And if you've lived your life properly, so you learn. You put things in perspective. You pull your energies together, you change, you go forward.
The chairman of the Tower Commission praised the president's honesty.
You know, I think a man is never more credible than when he admits to a mistake, and this the president has very manfully done tonight.
The president said he endorses every recommendation made in the report and will do everything in his power to implement them. As for personnel changes, Reagan said he is considering some more, saying he will move the furniture as it becomes necessary. Chet?
Thank you, Martha. Joining us live now to discuss President Reagan's speech is Massachusetts Junior Senator John Kerry. Senator, you're in Washington. You heard we just heard former Senator Tower say that President Reagan manfully admitted he made a mistake, and now he has turned things around. Do you agree?
I had Natalie in the beginning. I don't have it now.
Having obviously some communications problems with Senator Kerry. Do you hear me now, Senator? Guess not. Sorry about that. We have some problems with the satellite, so we'll have to bypass that interview with Senator John Kerry. Natalie?
Maybe we can fix things before our broadcast is over. As the president said in his speech, it is now up to the congressional investigating committees to pick up where the Tower Commission left off. New Hampshire Senator Warren Rudman, a member of the Senate Select Committee, was impressed by the president's speech.
This was a contrite president. If anyone remembers American history, I challenge them to go back in presidential addresses, going all the way back through other major foreign policy crises in our nation's history, and find a president as forthright as Ronald Reagan was tonight. He took full responsibility.
The president also got high marks from another Select Committee member, Senator George Mitchell of Maine.
If there's one thing that the American people know, it's that President Reagan can read a good speech. And he did that tonight. That's not surprising. It was a good job. I commend him for it. It was a good speech. And we have to work together now to deal with the problems that the country faces while we complete the investigation in this matter.
There'll be more reaction to the president's speech tonight on Nightline immediately following this newscast.
And still ahead on NewsCenter 5 tonight, what can be done about weapons? Weapons in Boston City schools. It becomes a deadly problem.
Then later, the best of Kramer continues tonight. When it comes to exercise, it seems to be more important to look good than to feel good.
You've got your feet on the ground, but your eyes are on the sky. Want your dreams to take off and fly. You know where you want to go, and nothing less will do. We got what it takes to help to see you through. Soar like the eagle. Put our strength to work for you. Make a Bosco.
They're here. Nissan is the family sedan you don't have to drive, you're glad to drive.
We got the power to make you move. We make you feel like driving. We make you feel like driving.
Sentra, the affordable quality sedan. Stanza, real room and comfort for 5. Maxima, our definition of luxury and performance.
We make you feel like driving. And the name is Nissan.
It's home from Earth we go.
What will you be doing in 10 years? Chronicle examines the changing trends in the job market. Which jobs will become hot and which ones obsolete? Working in Massachusetts on Chronicle tomorrow at 7:30 on Channel 5.
He started with a hand-me-down suit, a one-room office, and a phone. And New England Telephone was there with whatever Joe Ender needed.
Mr. Ender's office.
Today, he's still relying on New England Telephone's network, and we're as proud to be his partner now as when he was just a kid with a dream.
We're the one for you, New England, New England.
Part of the NYNEX family.
Tax shelters are going. Capital gains breaks are gone. Most deductibles aren't deductible anymore. The hard fact is, under the new tax law, I'm going to be paying even more. I need tax-free income more than ever, so I'm investing in Nuveen. Nuveen puts more money in my pocket. Nuveen, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep.
For information on Nuveen tax-free income, call your investment broker or advisor or 800-228-6000.
Tonight, NewsCenter 5 has learned that a wiretap has been found inside a Boston police station. Sources tell us that a telephone repairman found the bug in one of the phones at the Area E station in West Roxbury, and that the tap appeared to be a sophisticated and expensive one. The bug was in a phone at a desk where prisoners are booked. Police won't say much on the record other than to admit that a device was found and that they're looking into it. Natalie?
Tonight, members of the Boston School Committee addressed the serious problem of weapons in city schools. By unanimous vote, the Student Safety Subcommittee recommended setting up a new security unit to aggressively deal with problem schools. Jorge Quiroga with our report.
The weapons room at the Boston School Department. It's full of deadly items confiscated from Boston students this year. It was with this ample evidence that the Student Safety Subcommittee voted tonight to form a school safety intervention team.
We cannot keep putting the kids at risk. We cannot keep losing lives. Enough is enough. You know, it stops here.
For a somber group of teens in this room tonight, that action came too late. These were Jeffrey Butler's friends. He was the 16-year-old who was stabbed to death last Friday afternoon during a fight in Rosendale. Butler and the suspect were both on their way home from Jamaica Plain High School.
Black, Spanish, white, you know, every color, you know, they're all carrying guns, you know, knives in school.
People carry weapons to protect themselves. They feel that somebody's going to hurt them, so that's why they carry weapons.
That students feel Boston schools are unsafe was confirmed by the latest data. Since schools opened last September, there have been 319 incidents with dangerous weapons. Over 200 involved knives. And tonight, this disturbing list was released. The most violent schools: Hyde Park High, Madison Park, Brighton High, English High, the Edwards Middle School, Washington Irving Middle School, Cleveland Middle School, South Boston High, Charlestown High, and the Humphrey Occupational Center. The safety response team remains only a proposal. It still needs to be voted on by the full school committee. Yet there have been concrete steps taken to make schools safer. Starting Monday, any student in Boston caught with a weapon in school will be spending up to 10 days in a special program for troubled youths. Natalie?
Thanks, Jorge. In this late story, just into NewsCenter 5, a search is going on in Wellesley for a female jogger believed to have been kidnapped. A witness told Wellesley police she saw a white female jogger being dragged into a car by two black males at Albion and Bristol Roads. Police are now conducting an investigation in that area, but have nothing conclusive at this time.
On the NewsLine tonight, 9 people died when a commuter plane crashed at an airport in Detroit. The twin-engine plane with 17 people aboard crashed during landing at Detroit's Metro Airport. 20 people were injured, including 10 on the ground. Witnesses say the plane veered sharply after landing and then suddenly flipped over and burst into flames. Former Navy intelligence analyst Jonathan J. Pollard was sentenced to life in prison today for spying for Israel. Pollard pleaded guilty to espionage charges in June. He received his punishment today before a federal judge in Washington. Pollard's wife was given 2 concurrent 5-year sentences for her part in the spying scandal. And the AVX Corporation today agreed to pay $2 million as a partial settlement for polluting New Bedford Harbor. Federal officials charged the New York-based firm pumped toxic PCBs into the harbor for 35 years. If the fine is approved by a federal judge, it would be the biggest penalty ever levied under the nation's Superfund law. Natalie?
Attorney General James Shannon and the group behind a series of pro-Seabrook ads appear headed for a showdown tomorrow. After both sides met today, Shannon repeated his charge: the Coalition for Reliable Energy's advertising is deceptive. And he gave the group 24 hours to comply with the law or face court action. The Department of Public Utilities Commissioner argues many details in the ads are in fact wrong.
In a very few years, life here in New England could be disrupted by power shortages.
Without Seabrook, there is sufficient capacity from other sources to meet the demand.
The choice seems pretty clear. We can pay for Seabrook and get electricity from it, or we can pay for Seabrook and get nothing from it.
It's wrong to say that, in that the decision hasn't yet been made as to who's going to pay for Seabrook.
The Coalition for Reliable Energy said yesterday they're considering a lawsuit against the Attorney General, claiming he is infringing on their rights to free speech. Still to come on NewsCenter 5, one more day of winter weather before a sweet taste of spring. Dick Albert's forecast is ahead.
And in sports, an update on Roger Clemens' contract hassle. At the Garden, the Jazz get flattened by the Celtics. Mike Dowling with highlights coming up next.
The New England Honda dealers would like you to think spring and think Honda Accord. Now that you're thinking spring, think about the great Honda prices and fresh Honda inventories right now at your New England Honda dealers.
She's from Western.
Of all the airline mergers, one really stands out because it's the people of Western joining the people of Delta. And when pros start working together, you know what you have? An all-star team. That's how the best get better.
This is going to be quite a team. You're right.
The best get better. Delta Airlines.
I'll take it. Very good, sir. Over the course of a year, keeping track of your life can be even more exhausting than living it. So to make things less hectic, American Express presents yet another important Gold Card service. Order. Announcing the year-end summary. All your Gold Card charges over the past year itemized, categorized. Only from American Express.
If you were your car and you needed new brakes, you'd go to the Speedy Brake Bonanza. Right now, Speedy gives you brakes you can trust. A lifetime guarantee on shoes and pads, and a price that's a stopper. Just $39.95 drum, $55.95 disc at the Speedy Brake Bonanza. Right now, pay just $39.95 drum, $55.95 disc for an expert brake package at the Speedy Brake Bonanza. Now.
Little shooting practice for the Celtics tonight at the Garden.
It was. I think they've beaten them 17 straight times at the Garden. Utah Jazz, I'll tell you, this was not the same Utah Jazz team that blew out the Celtics 16 days ago. I don't know what Utah Jazz team it was, but it was not the same team. Celtics went up by as many as 31. It's pure and simple blowout. 123-105 Celtics tonight, and believe me, this thing was worse. Early on, the steal by the Celtics, the Chief, Larry ahead to a breaking Danny Ainge for an easy 2 at the other end. Then DJ to Bird, and watch the pass coming up here underneath to the Chief. Nice, sweet little pass to the Chief. 2 of his 15 first half points. Then Ainge will miss it, but watch the Chief throw this one down and then just glare at Kelly Trepuk afterwards. Get out of my way. Well, it was just too easy. Larry with 2 of his first half, 22 points. He had 22 in the first half, 27 on the game. The mailman tried to make it close. Karl Malone cuts it to 4 here, but the Chief will special deliver one more right back in the mailman's pouch on the pass from DJ here. 70-50 at the end of the half. Bird down the middle coming up. He had 27, switches hands around Kent Benson and by Trapuka. 86-56, they go up by 30. DJ to McHale, game high 33 for him. And then Sammy Vincent, Rick Carlisle, and Fred Roberts would finish off this blowout. 123-105 the final.
And tonight, we just kept taking the ball down low and running pick and rolls and making Eaton do things, so keeping him out of the middle. Out in Utah, I don't think he ever left the lane. And tonight, he had to make a choice, either step out there and pick me up or go back to Parrish. And he was working all night long.
Working all night long. How about Michael Jordan? 57 in regulation tonight, but this one would go into overtime. Isaiah throws in a couple of unbelievable ones. He had 31 into overtime. Jordan says, give me that ball back. He had 61 points. A regular season career high for him. They win by 3 in overtime. To Philadelphia, where the Tub puts Philadelphia up by as many as 23 points, 2 of his 28 here. He had 16 offensive rebounds, but the Knicks would come back all the way back behind Gerald Wilkins. He had 41. Sixers lose it by 3 points. The scoreboard says Celtics easy, Philly loses, and New Jersey loses to Washington. Chicago winner, Milwaukee the same thing, and Dallas over Denver by 8 points. High school basketball tournament action. Ridge and Latin down 3 points, missed shot, but Tony Washington is there for the rebound and the hoop. They're now down 1 to Don Bosco, who cannot believe it. Washington was fouled on the play, misses the free throw, but Lance Doughton is there to tip it in. They go up by 1. Bosco with a chance to win it, but Joe Amorosino loses control right in front of us. And Ridge and Latin holds on for 68-67 win. Red Sox are in jeopardy of having their big guy hold out. That's right. Roger Clemens has not signed a contract. He says he will not pitch in Saturday's exhibition opener against the Tigers unless he is signed to a contract. Right now, the two sides are about $600,000 apart, and let's face it, the Sox cannot afford to be without the Cy Young Award winner for any amount of time.
They're getting things underway either yesterday or today, and as far as I know from there, that's all I've heard, and know a little bit maybe tomorrow and go from there.
We have until the 10th before making a decision to renew his contract, the 10th being the deadline that you must renew all players' contracts in camp. But even if we didn't agree in the next couple of days and we had to renew it, you could still keep talking to the player and still negotiate the contract even after you renewed. So we'll sit the next day or two and try and get that done.
They'd better get it done. Bruins try to get it done tomorrow night in Hartford when they'll face the Whalers. They have tonight off. But in the NHL tonight, the Rangers over the Islanders down in New York, and Winnipeg loses to the Blackhawks. High school hockey action, Eastern Mass Division II North final, second period 1-1 between Matignon and Austin Prep. This is Matignon's Sean McEachern feeding Bob Kelly, who beats Austin Prep's goalie Nick Shingris 2-1 Matignon. Still second period, Steve Irvin would score to tie the game at 2-2. But the winning goal would come from Matignon. Sean McEachern gets the winner in the third period, 3-2 the final for Matignon. So they will now face Canton in the Eastern Mass Division II finals. That's everything. That's everything.
You covered it all. Only $600K apart, huh?
That's right. No problem.
Fix that up. Raise the prices of the hot dogs.
Did you get the diet from the coach there?
No, I'll get that for you now.
In case you missed that, he said he lost something like 40 pounds. And
85
pounds. Oh, he lost 85.
His wife only lost 45.
Only. Gee, get that diet.
Bring it over here. I could lose about a couple pounds.
Well, you look all right. Wednesday, let's see, what did you say? Friday we're looking forward to.
Yeah, Friday could be 50 degrees, and over the weekend looks really warm, but you can never tell it outside. You'll step out in a few minutes, and you'll see.
That it's winter.
It's very cold out there.
That's all right.
But it is going to warm up. No question about it. I've been wrong before, but I doubt that I'll be wrong, at least this time. All right, let's see what's happening on the Weather Watchers map. We got temperatures in the teens and 20s this evening, even going down toward 10 degrees. For instance, Ashburnham, 12. Westford, 13. Wakefield, 21. Hanover, 20 degrees. Abelard Coolidge, new weather watcher from Wakefield,
Hello, Avalon. 21 degrees here. Hopkinton, 19. It's mighty chilly outside, and it is a nippy night. 10 or 11, well, 11 to be exact in Lebanon, and in Burlington, Vermont, 10 degrees. Worcester, 20 degrees, and the high today in Boston was 32. Just a wee bit warmer than that tomorrow, and then much warmer as we get into Friday and Saturday. We look at the national map. We see some brightness over the Great Lakes. These clouds are not moving toward us. Over southern Florida the next couple of days are going to have some problems. The Miami area, lots of rain. And you see out west a big storm with rain along the west coast. But east of there, record warmth. I mean, it has been so warm out there. Glasgow, Montana. You're all familiar with Glasgow, Montana? I spent some Air Force days there. Nice town. Glasgow, 75 today. In Boise, Idaho, 70 degrees, 69 in Salt Lake City. And in San Diego is 85. Well, some of that warmth is heading our way, but I don't think we're going to have record warmth. But it is going to get warm. Here's the warm front. It'll come knocking at our door around Friday. Meanwhile, our pal, the high-pressure system, will dominate our weather until then. There we go, a close-up look at our pal. Well, we don't have to worry about anything too much for the next couple of days. All right, let's look at the temperature pattern tomorrow. You can see the coldest air right here across the Northeast, 20s and 30s. But look at what's waiting for us. 50s, 40s, 60s. I don't know about 60s, but it is going to warm up. And we look at the jet stream. That's always the key. The way the winds are blowing at about 20 or 30,000 feet, well, by late Friday and Saturday, through southern Canada, north of New England, that should mean mighty warm weather for us. Well, we take a check on the map now, see what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'll tell you, it's still going to be chilly, high pressure, lots of sunshine, but by Friday and Saturday, the famous backside warmth is going to come in, and you're going to enjoy it, I promise you. All right, here's my forecast for you. The rest of tonight, just plain cold, 10 to 22 by morning. Tomorrow, after that chilly start, should warm up to 35 to 40 degrees. Then tomorrow night, cold, but not as chilly as it has been, 20 to 28. Then Friday, a few clouds, some sun, warmer, near 50 degrees. And over the weekend, it looks great, breezy and balmy in the 50s on Saturday, and little change on Sunday.
Splendid, my boy. You're never wrong, Dick. Your timing has been off a couple of times. You were never wrong.
Thanks, Chuck.
What a gentle way to put it, huh?
Coming up, the trials of staying fit.
Chuck Kramer says there's more to jogging than meets the eye.
Members of the jury, the accused stands before you on trial for his sins.
Forgive me. I loved you all.
Liar, you only love your dreams.
Dreams are where a man invents himself. Is that a sin?
Your life will be a great and lonely one.
Father, forgive me.
You belong to no one.
I rest my case. If living with obsession is a sin, let me be guilty.
Calvin Klein's Obsession for Men. I'd know him in the dark.
Exclusively at Jordan Mart.
Here's Jerry with a new car.
What'd you pay for it?
About $5,500.
Are you kidding?
Does it run on batteries?
Does it have a motor? Does it have a motor?
Can I kick the tires?
Will the door come off the hinges?
Hey, guess what? It's a Subaru!
Oh, a Subaru.
Subaru!
Only one inexpensive car is built like a Subaru. Introducing the Subaru Justy.
Such a smart boy. Oh.
The new Subaru Justy. Only $54.95 at your New England Subaru dealer.
The U.S. is a bargain if you know where to shop. TWA gives you exciting buys to magical Los Angeles and a golden opportunity to explore San Francisco. Or kick up your heels in Vegas. A terrific bargain, too. Plus, our Fly Drive Getaway Vacations offer rental cars, hotels, and more for a great price. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
Finally tonight, one last piece of prime Chuck. We'll look back at some of the best of Chuck Kramer.
Tonight, our intrepid critic at large takes on the running craze. Aerobics and Nautilus and walking may have replaced jogging as a state-of-the-art health fad since Chuck first prepared this piece, but we think the similarities speak for themselves.
I held out as long as I could, but the peer pressure finally got me down. Everybody I know these days is into improving his psyche by doing 50 miles a week and bragging about it all weekend. So, I too would have to hit the long and dusty. After a brisk 3 miles around the neighborhood, my psyche was great, and I was getting ready to brag all weekend, but the morning mail brought discouraging news. My sweatsuit was below the dress code. Way below. So, I went to Newberry Street to a new place called Gymnasium Chic, which used to sell waterbeds and improved my image considerably for $65. Turbocharge Orange, they called it, with matching aerodynamic wristbands by Bill Blass. After about 2 miles, my psyche was good, and my wristbands had produced minimal wind resistance, but suddenly I realized something really awful. My running shoes didn't have stripes. My running shoes hardly had soles, for gosh sakes. No wonder they were laughing at me on Mass Ave. So I moseyed over to Alston to a new place called the Achilles Deal, which used to be a head shop, and got custom fitted with their new traction dynamic waffle soles, biomechanically constructed with the famous longitudinal cuboid shape heel to reduce lateral wobble. After about a mile, my psyche was okay, and I had no detectable lateral wobble, but once again I came face to face with what a pathetic amateur I really was. Because underneath my aerodynamic wristbands, I was wearing a Timex, if you can believe that, whereas all the really fashionable marathoners these days are heavily into solid-state microelectronic chronographs. So I straggled over to a new place called the Vogue Synthesizer, which used to be a backgammon outlet, and picked up their top-of-the-line calculating chronograph with built-in lap timer, AM/FM radio, and cardiopulmonary monitor. After about a half mile, my psyche was adequate, and I was picking up Carl Dessous over my heartbeat, but as usual, I was in for a terrible blow, because I didn't have a designer autographed headband or safety reflector. Somehow I managed to drag myself over to London Jog, where they used to sell left-wing literature and yogurt cones, and for only 23 bucks picked up their exclusive Bruce Jenner Superstripe headband and their custom-tailored Dayglow vest, which is guaranteed to complement a good body. After about 100 yards, my psyche was basically shot to hell, my chronograph batteries were dead, and I think I had a bad case of lateral wobble after all. Not to mention I felt ridiculous. So I straggled home and thought it over. And the next morning, I straightened my psyche right out by sleeping in. My body feels fine. I just don't know what I'm going to talk about this weekend.
Now you have to have those skin-tight...
That's it. Chuck's body ought to be ready for that now, huh? Tights, shorts over them?
Pull the shorts over the tights. That always looks great. Like, why would anybody want to do that? But then again...
You'd look great in that, Chuck.
I like my little exercise.
Thanks for joining us tonight. ABC's Nightline coming up next. More on the president's speech and reaction to it. I'm Natalie Jacobson.
And I'm Chet Curtis. Thank you and have a good night.
Good night.